Ceratosaurians have always been used as punching bags for allosaurids or other theropods in popular media, although they actually dominated big parts of the lower Jurassic and even the upper Cretaceous. It's safe to say that these theropods are the most underrated out there. That's why today we are going to take a look at every ceratosaur covered in dinosaur profiles so far. 200 million years ago. Around that time, Pangaea split up and Gondwana and Laurasia had to say goodbye. This was the time of the biggest theropod of the lower Jurassic, the Italian super predator Ceratosaurus. When we think about the earliest of large predators in the dinosaur world, we might think of the Cryolophosaurus, Dilophosaurus, or even earlier Herrerasaurus and Supasaurus. All of these predators reached lengths of 4 to over 6 meters, or 13 to over 16.4 feet, and weights up to 500 kilograms or 1,100 pounds. These theropods lived from the Middle Triassic 237 million years ago into the early Jurassic 183 million years ago. However, between 199.3 and 197.5 million years ago, there was a predator a tick longer than Cryolophosaurus and Dilophosaurus, but far more massive. This was the Ceratosaurus, a ceratosaur that dwarfed all predators at that time. This was a ceratosaur the size of an almost fully grown allosaurus.
You serious?
Ceratosaurus means Ceratosaurus hunter, referring to the municipality Ceratosaurus in the Italian Lombardy. The authors and descriptors Dal Sasso, Maganuccio and Ciao also pointed out that Venator not only stands for hunter, but also a type of Roman gladiator. That's actually pretty damn cool. Because of the fragmentary nature of its remains, scaling up from Ceratosaurus itself is a good way to get an idea of how big Ceratosaurus Venator really is. This resulted in a body length of 7.3 meters or 24 feet, a hip height of 2.2 meters or 6.7 feet, and a skull length of 80 centimeters or 2.4 feet. If we take both hip bone and thigh bone scaling into context, the weight range is between 1.16 to 1.622 metric tons. The early Jurassic was a time when allosaurs were not yet around.
Allosaurus.
Gone missing!
These were happier times for ceratosaurs for sure. Anyways, Ceratosaurus Venator was found in 1996 in a quarry north of Milan. Ceratosaurus Venator Sanelli was named in 2018 by paleontologist Cristiano Dal Sasso among others. Considering the fact that the Ceratosaurus Venator holotype was found in the Ceratosaurus Formation, which contains a ton of marine fauna, it seems that the individual was a beach dweller, or at least it lived in a coastal environment. An analysis confirmed damage to the holotype fossil being caused by marine scavengers. Oh no, I think I know what happened to the poor animal after it died. Ceratosaurus Venator was perhaps also looking for bodies of large marine animals washed ashore. With Europe being a collection of islands in the early Jurassic, this seems to have been a common survival strategy for the larger theropod dinosaurs of the time in this area. Other genera such as Eustreptospondylus, Pitheterosaurus and Dubrialosaurus among others are also speculated to have scoured beaches for food. Ceratosaurus Venator's habitat, the Ceratosaurus Formation, was home to brachiopods, bivalves, gastropods, cephalopods, echinoderms, some fish ichthyosaurs such as Ichthyosaurus himself.
Hello there.
The giant Temnodontosaurus, one pterosaur genus and the non-avian dinosaur Ceratosaurus Venator. We also know that the found specimen was not an adult and therefore could have grown even bigger. We are not aware of so many giant theropods in Europe, but Ceratosaurus Venator was definitely one, and thus joins the ranks of predators such as Allosaurus, Torvosaurus, Neovenator, Baryonyx and the Iberospinus. What is striking is that all these predators lived much later than Ceratosaurus Venator. The discovery of this Ceratosaurus Venator specimen, which was estimated at a max of 1.6 metric tons and found to be still only a maturing juvenile, is downright astonishing to paleontologists, as theropods of this weight class are only found 25 million years later. Soltrio venator had the typical characteristics of a basal ceratosaur, a short but bulky skull, lethal claws on its hands and a nasal horn. The fact that Soltrio venator still had 4 fingers is pretty strange. Later predatory dinosaurs only had 3 fingers. 3 of Soltrio venator's 4 fingers ended in claws. The 4th and outmost finger, however, is shortened. The 4th finger of the Theropods first became smaller and then disappeared completely. Soltrio venator's grasping hand fills a crucial gap in the theropod family tree. The 3-fingered hand, as we know it from later theropods, as well as the wings of birds, later emerged from this humble beginning. Soltrio venator therefore not only provides us with insights into the evolution of non-avian theropods in the Jurassic, but also gives us theories about the development of the wings in birds. All in all, Soltrio venator was the greatest predator of its time and probably the greatest predator of the early Jurassic. However, throughout the whole late Jurassic and early Cretaceous, ceratosaurs were outcompeted in size by abelisaurs and later carnotaurus. If you don't believe me, you can just ask ceratosaurus. Hence why Allosaurus always claps ceratosaurus in every documentary.
Emotional damage!
However, the ceratosaurs made a comeback in the late Cretaceous when the abelisaurs took over a lot of apex predator niches in South America, Africa, Asia and Europe. This was one of the last great terrestrial predatory dominances in the late Cretaceous alongside Megaraptorans and Tyrannosauroids.
I thought you were dead.
My death was greatly exaggerated.
So it seems that ceratosaurs hit the last laugh. So even now the ceratosaur legacy lives on. The appearance and physical characteristics of this predator have already earned it some frightening and fitting nicknames, such as the devil horn. The carnotaurus was not only a top predator, but also a cult dinosaur, captivating people worldwide. What makes carnotaurus a top predator? When and where did it live, and what purpose did its horn serve? Today we will take a closer look at this fascinating dinosaur. Carnotaurus sastrae, an abelisauride from the Upper Cretaceous of Argentina. Abelisauridae, the most well-known subgroup within Abelisauroidea, are descendants of ceratosaurus from the Upper Jurassic. Abelisaurs are characterized by robust hind limbs and heads adorned in various ways. For instance, Carnotaurus had horns on its head, hence its name, which translates to meat-eating bull. The species epithet sastrae was given in honor of Angel Sastre, who discovered Carnotaurus' fossils on his ranch. Carnotaurus is estimated to have weighed between 1.3 to 2.1 metric tons and reached a length of 7.5 to 8 meters or 24.5 to 26 feet. It was one of the larger abelisaurs alongside Abelisaurus majungasaurus, Pygmalionisaurus and Ichthyosaurus. José Fernando Bonaparte first discovered and described Carnotaurus. Its fossils were found in the Potrosastre farm near Bajada Moreno in the Argentinian province of Chubut. Carnotaurus has since become a cult figure among dinosaurs, with numerous appearances in various documentaries, movies and TV series, including Disney's Dinosaurs, Jurassic World, Terra Nova, Prehistoric Planet, Life After the Dinosaurs, Dinosaur King and Camp Cretaceous. Carnotaurus continues to inspire and fascinate paleontologists and dinosaur enthusiasts worldwide. What sets Carnotaurus apart from other predators are its horns, which sat above its eyes and could reach lengths of up to 15 cm or 0.5 feet. These horns were formed by its frontal bones. Paleontologists are confident that Carnotaurus had keratin layers in its horns, but they disagree on whether keratin had a significant impact on the size of the horns. There are several theories about the function of these horns. One theory is that they were used for display. The thickness of the horns, however, leads paleontologists to believe that they had a physical purpose and were used in combat among conspecifics, similar to how modern rams use their horns today. One study even reports the horns could withstand collisions between two Carnotaurus at speeds of 20.5 km per hour or 12.7 miles per hour. The head and neck support this idea of fierce clashes. The head was relatively short and the neck was muscular, allowing for rapid strikes and making Carnotaurus' horns durable. Not all paleontologists support this theory. Some believe that the horns were used to push and shove other carnotaurus slowly, similar to modern reptiles. The most controversial theory regarding the horns is that carnotaurus used them to injure or kill smaller prey. Even if its horns were not weapons, carnotaurus possessed other features that made it an effective predator. Carnotaurus had 62 long, serrated and slender teeth in its mouth, closely spaced together. Its jaws and skull muscles allowed it to deliver extremely fast bites and withstand substantial pressure, enabling it to tear into its prey, preventing escape. Carnotaurus's arms, on the other hand, were shorter than those of the T-Rex. The lower parts of its arms were robust and may have aided in stability while running. Additionally, Carnotaurus may have used its arms to manipulate prey before delivering bites. Perhaps they also served for display purposes as seen in prehistoric Planet.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
However, its arms are so short that they may not have had any practical use at all. Another feature that made Carnotaurus stand out was its speed despite its size. Carnotaurus had a thigh bone that was highly flexible and movable, allowing its legs to endure higher speeds. Its thigh bone structure was more efficient than that of a human, but less efficient than that of an ostrich. Computer models estimated maximum speed at 56 km per hour or 34.7 miles per hour. Slightly slower than a puma, but at least 16 km, 10 miles faster than a velociraptor. However, the thigh bone is not the only secret to Carnotaurus' speed. The movement muscle in the tails of dinosaurs, also known as the cauda femoralis, was the best indicator of speed in dinosaurs. Most dinosaurs had a T-shaped movement muscle in their tails, whereas Carnotaurus had a V-shaped one. This shape allowed the muscle to become much larger and enabled Carnotaurus to achieve its tremendous running speeds. Due to its high speed, it sacrificed agility and couldn't change direction quickly, unlike dromaeosaurs, for example. What else makes this dinosaur different is its skin. Carnotaurus fossils show that its skin was very scaly and entirely featherless. It also had randomly distributed conical nodules surrounded by a network of long, elongated diamond-shaped scales that could also be subcircular. There are two theories regarding the purpose of these nodules. Either they served as a protection during hunting and combat, or as an artistic feature that may have been brightly colored and patterned, possibly used for courtship or intimidating male conspecifics. Additionally, Carnotaurus had a degree of binocular vision due to its skull structure. All these features make Carnotaurus a highly unique dinosaur, one that could hardly be imagined even in science fiction. Carnotaurus lived in the La Colonia Formation in Argentina from the Campanian to the Maastrichtian stages of the late Cretaceous. The environment at the time consisted of partially enclosed coastal waters with brackish water through which rivers flowed, as well as mud flats and coastal plains. The climate was a mix of dry and wet periods. Dinosaurs from La Colonia include the ceratosaurine Titanomachia, as well as the abelisaurids, coelacanth and carnotaurus. Apart from these three, there have only been fragmentary findings of hadrosaurs, some other sauropods, and ankylosaurs and several theropods in this formation. It is quite certain that Carnotaurus was the apex predator of its region. From a non-dinosaur perspective, Carnotaurus' realm also has three different types of plesiosaurs, turtles, various lungfish, crocodiles, snakes, various lizards, and approximately 300 species of mammals. Many paleontologists believe that Carnotaurus specialized in smaller prey. In this scenario, Carnotaurus would deliver fast bites to pierce its prey. Occasionally, it might have hunted larger prey as well, given its ability to hold onto larger prey. One study supports the theory that it primarily hunted small prey, estimating Carnotaurus' bite force at 3,341 newtons. However, some believe that Carnotaurus specialized in larger prey and had a much greater bite force. Like the Allosaurus, Carnotaurus also had a strong rear skull, a short snout and serrated teeth, leading researchers to believe it hunted in a similar way. It would tear its prey apart through rapid bites, causing massive blood loss. Some even believe that Carnotaurus exclusively hunted large prey, potentially even sauropods. Carnotaurus was one of the last dinosaurs on Earth, as it also went extinct at the end of the Cretaceous period. The decrease of dinosaur diversity may have been due to abiotic factors. Specifically, China serves as such an example, as between 68 and 66 million years ago there was a lower diversity among dinosaurs than before. This was associated with factors like global climate fluctuations, changes in sea levels, plate tectonic movements, and the Deccan Trap eruptions. A similar fate may have befallen South America and the rest of the world, and even if some carnotaurus specimens were still present at the end of the Cretaceous, the aftermath of the Chicxulub impact event likely sealed their fate. Thus, one of the top predators of the Upper Cretaceous in Argentina had also fallen. After the Carcharodontosaurids and Spinosaurids lost their power over the apex predator niches in the late Cretaceous, new groups took over. Groups that before were only second or third within the respective food chains. There were three groups: the Tyrannosaurus, the Megaraptorans, and perhaps the weirdest among them, the abelisaurs. While most people think of carnotaurus when talking about the biggest abelisaur, the biggest of the bunch is actually far less popular, or as one guy commented on the Megaraptor community tab, every carnotaurus feels gangster until Pygnominosaurus arrives. Late Cretaceous, South America, the forests of Brazil. These lands are haunted by a giant beast with a quite peculiar face, as these forests were home to the Pygnominosaurus, the biggest dinosaur in all of Abelisauridae, and by extension also Ceratosauria. Abelisaurs are known for their thick, short skulls and tiny arms. This also gave them the nickname speed sausages, as they were fast, plus have a sausage-ish body plan. I don't need to explain the sausage part, but what about the speed? Carnotaurus reached 56 km per hour or 45 miles per hour and was probably the fastest big theropod out there. However, Pygnominosaurus was much bigger, with length estimates going up to 9 meters or 30 feet and a weight of a staggering 3.6 metric tons, making not only Carnotaurus look small, but also all other abelisaurs and ceratosaurs, even the Soltiovenator. Honestly, it wouldn't look good if Carnotaurus entered Pygnos territory.
Come here, I'm gonna eat you! I'm bigger than you, I'm higher in the food chain! Get in my belly!
With this size, it would certainly not have been as fast as Carnotaurus, but we can still speculate on a speed of 30 km per hour or 18 miles per hour or more. The size, speed and typical abelisaur skull would make it a great ambush predator, which also aligns with its name, as Pygnominosaurus means dense forest lizard. Pygnominosaurus nevesi was described by Kellner and Campos in 2002. It is classified as a Furilosaurian, a group within Brachiostrata, which is in turn a group within Abelisauridae. Pygnominosaurus has not yet been depicted in Paleometer, which is kind of sad, but this is easily explained by its lack of popularity. Pygnominosaurus is known for a short but deep skull with greatly reduced arms. It would have used its small yet sharp teeth and head to get a hold of struggling prey, as the Pygnominosaurus shook and tore them apart. Because of this, it might have even preyed on Titanosaurs. However, except for this its giant size and the typical abelisaur features, we don't really know much about it. Since it is highly fragmentary, maybe it even had a horn or some other facial features. But what would abelisaurs do with the horns anyway? Roasting marshmallows? Anyways, we do know a thing or two about fauna though, because the Adamantina Formation showcases late Cretaceous Brazilian fauna from 87.8 to 68 million years ago. This formation contains quite a lot of crocodilomorphs, including the Notosuchid Adamantinosuchus, some Paurosuchids, Trematochampsids, Sphagisaurids, Peirosaurids and Etasuchids. Furthermore, the formation includes the blind snake Boipeba and the frog Borepa tractus. Dinosaurs include the Titanosaurian Theropods, Adamantosaurus, Aruda titan and Arctosaurus, Gondwana titan, Maxicalosaurus, and an indeterminate unenlaging Raptor and the Abelisaur. Still, because Pygnominosaurus was one of the biggest theropods in the Maastrichtian, by the way joining the ranks of Tyrannosaurus, Maip, Deinocheirus, Therizinosaurus and Tarbosaurus, it would have been the apex predator if we put it into the Adamantina Formation. But unfortunately for the big sausage passage role, with it having lived in the Maastrichtian 72 million years ago, it is quite possible that the dense forest beast also got directly wiped out by the Chicxulub impact event 66 million years ago. Either way, the KPG was the end for all dinosaurs, including this enormous Brazilian abelisaur, putting an end to the reign of these brilliant and peculiar speedsters. Abelisaurs are normally only portrayed as second or third within the food chain in their respective ecosystems. However, they have been around for longer than the giant carnotaurus and spinosaurs and outlived them, filling up a ton of apex predator niches in late Cretaceous, Africa, South America and Eurasia. Africa in particular is not that well known for big abelisaurs, even though they had a member that outsized almost every other abelisaur and by extension ceratosaur too. Even though it is undescribed, it would straight up jump into the top 2 biggest ceratosaurians. This is the so-called Kenyan giant, also nicknamed the Titan Hunter, Titanovenator. Titanovenator is an undescribed abelisaur from Kenya. Shoutouts to Taylor McCoy for the nickname Titanovenator kenyaensis, by the way. Anyways, the Titan Hunter lived about 66 million years ago in the Maastrichtian period. Early estimates did put it at 11 to 12 meters or up to 40 feet in length, making it almost certainly a megatheropod, aka a theropod with 5 metric tons or more in weight. However, based on the skull, scaling from the closely related abelisaurus would make Titanovenator 9.5 meters or just over 31 feet in length, with a weight of 2 to 3 metric tons. It might be longer than Pycnominosaurus, but it is less massive. If Titanovenator would be described now, it would be second in size within Abelisauroids and Ceratosauria, but there is one more abelisaur from Morocco that is also undescribed, which is most certainly a lot bigger than Titanovenator, potentially even megatheropod territory. Abelisaurs had short, thick skulls, tiny or almost no arms, quite sharp teeth with a good grip for biting down on prey, as well as weird facial features such as bumps, horns and so on. But what about the abelisaurs' hunting tools? Well, speed is one of them. Speaking about big abelisaurs, Pycnominosaurus would have probably mainly relied on short bursts of speed ambushing prey and biting down on them. Pycno is a bit bulkier than Titanovenator, therefore we might imagine Titanovenator being faster. So how fast can the Titan Hunter run? Most mid-sized and even bigger abelisaurs would have probably been able to run up to 30 km per hour or 18.6 miles per hour, and that is a conservative estimate. Carnotaurus was the speedster of the group, with it having been able to produce speeds of 56 km per hour or 35 miles per hour. However, since Abelisaurus is related more closely, we're gonna estimate Titanovenator's speed from Abelisaurus. Speculative evolution. Abelisaurus lived in an environment with the Megaraptor and Neorastian, which is specialized on not only ambushing but also running down prey, due to its great endurance. Well, Abelisaurus would therefore have evolved a higher speed to minimize conflicts between it and the Neorastian. While Earastian could run up to 30 km per hour or 18.6 miles per hour, Abelisaurus would have been able to produce a velocity of 40 km per hour or 24.8 miles per hour. And you're thinking, what does this have to do with Titanovenator? Well, I'm gonna length scale from Abelisaurus to roughly estimate the speed of Titanovenator. As always, take these estimates with a grain of salt since it's spec evo. Scaling from an Abelisaurus with 7.3 meters or 24 feet in length and a speed of 40 km per hour or 24.8 miles per hour, a Titanovenator with 9.5 meters or just over 31 feet would have been able to reach 30.7 km per hour or 19 miles per hour. Oh boy, we would have a problem if we traveled back in time and the Titanovenator is out for snacks. Anyways, Titanovenator lived in the Lapur Sandstone Formation of Kenya. This formation contained several, unfortunately still unnamed and or indeterminate taxa, namely a Titanosaur, 2 indeterminate sauropods, 2 unidentified iguanodontians, 1 unknown ornithopod, an unnamed giant abelisaurid, which is probably the nickname Titanovenator kenyaensis. another large unidentified theropod, another unidentified theropod, maybe even a Spinosaurid, which would be wild since the Spinosaurus died out about 90 million years ago and the formation's timeline is 72 to 65 million years BC. Furthermore, there are remains of an Anomosasaurian, some Dinosaurs and Testudines. With its size, Titanovenator would probably have been one of the apex predators of end Cretaceous Africa. Also, I can't wait for this animal and the rest of the formation's paleofauna to be described, cause it's such an exciting prospect to learn about this unknown end Cretaceous fauna. Also, Titanovenator joins the exclusive club of Maastrichtian theropods that could reach a size of 3 metric tons or more, alongside Tyrannosaurus and Albertosaurus in North America, Maib and Pygmalionisaurus in South America, and Tarbosaurus, Therizinosaurus and Dinosaurs from Asia. As always, please correct me in the comments if I'm forgetting something here. That's it for this video. Smash the thumbs up, the bell and the subscribe, as only legends do that and I know you all are. Also check out Instagram for fitness motivation and inspiration, as I'm on a mission to help more people get fit. Furthermore, you can also check out Twitter to hear my thoughts on all kinds of dinosaur stuff. And with that, I wish you a splendid day or evening. Goodbye.